Welcome here, everyone. We're excited to get underway with the Aegis fall season. You know what that means? It's a lot more league and a lot more action across the entirety of this week. Today is going to be the Aegis Defenders League, and I'll be one of your casters here. It is Orbital. Along with me is Karthik, and we'll be bringing you all the action through the regular season as well as hopefully through the playoffs. Karthik, how you doing here today?
Yeah, excited for the season to get started. We got a banger matchup to kick it off here. We got the Ethereal Spire versus the XG Gnomes here on week 1. And yeah, what are your expectations coming into this?
Not too much, honestly. Both these teams, I believe, are pretty fresh into the league, and that's kind of the fun of it. Honestly, I mean, with Worlds underway, we're seeing a lot of different meta picks come out here. I mean, some staples, obviously, but you know, what plays on Worlds doesn't always translate into what plays in your own competitive games, and I think that for itself will be a tough one to measure. Karthik, any picks that you are excited about? Anything that you're looking forwards to?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's been watching Worlds, there's one name on everyone's mind, and that's been Yone. He has just been popping off in Worlds. So I'm sure people looking at it, looking at people like Zeka and Scout just pop off on the character, people will be bringing it out here too. And an interesting combo we've seen other than that is the Orianna Nocturne too. I think both are good in this meta right now. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone pulls off those combos from Worlds, takes them into their own hands, and sees if they can perform with it.
I mean, the Orianna Nocturne has actually been around for so long, and it's nice to see it bring its way back into the meta as well. But that's kind of the fun of it, is we're seeing these particular batteries be used as a run up to these larger compositional styles. You know, you have your main battery, and then you have the dynamic pieces that are attached to it. And one that we have seen as well to try and combat, you know, some of those safer mid lane options, or more controlling factors, I should say, is going to be that Aurora. I mean, we've seen Aurora still take off, still on pretty much everyone's ban list. And at this point, if you're playing mid and competitive, you have to have Aurora somewhere in there. Do you expect to see an Aurora come out here today, or do you think that's still kind of off on the wayside? You know, maybe it's more of just a pure ban, get it away.
Yeah, honestly, I think I personally would love to see it, but I wouldn't be surprised if teams just kind of ban it away. Just looking at the mid laners and top laners in the list, haven't seen many Aurora games in there, so maybe it will just slowly skip through that pick and ban, unfortunately. But hey, I'd love to see it. The kind of creative plays that you can make on the character, and sometimes you can just like int with it too, so it's always fun to watch.
Of course, of course. And with that, we are getting underway with game number 1 draft. We do have Ethereal Spire on the blue side, and of course the Gnomes on the red. And you can see immediately targeting that Talia, very, very targeted towards, I believe, that jungle mid area. Talia is great at roaming, at taking over a lot of those, I want to say spatial combats there, just trying to ensure that, hey, I reach there first or can cut off the opponent.
Yeah, and because Ethereal is blue side, they kind of get this luxury to do some of those more like bans towards the enemy team. And yeah, Talia seems to be like a good jungle mid flex that they want to just take out right now. Udyr, I think, is also great in the meta, just as a blind pick that can kind of just go into anything and still like survive pretty well. So good to see that being taken off.
And these are just those pieces of that puzzle that are starting to come together. I like the fact that you pointed out that the Udyr is one that we can absolutely just sit there and go, it's annoying in its own right. And that's what you want to deal with. You just don't want to let those ones through. So take away the Udyr. It does seem like there is some jungle focus here. If we're looking at the bans both targeting, you know, maybe that gank heavy style, but we'll see how that plays out. As I do believe we have a little bit of an issue. I think there was a little bit of a mix-up. Nothing looks to be picked up there on Ethereal's side. Looks like it might be a little bit broken as well. So we might be getting a little bit of a refresh on this draft here today. But Talia and Udyr specifically are taken away. With both of those, though, they also lean into very stylized compositions. You know, the Talia wants to roam out, wants to make plays around. Udyr, we know it as a lane bully as well. If you were willing to take it into the top side, not just that jungle route, you sit there and go, it does feel like there is some fears on either side. Ethereal doesn't want to deal with that roam potential, and the Gnomes don't want to deal with that just general, I want to say general controlling factor in a singular lane.
Yeah, exactly. And for all you people looking to see if these bans are something that you can take into solo queue, Udyr is a really good character that's kind of benefited from all the like item nerfs that's come through. Like basically every item, their power has been reduced by like 20-ish%. And out of those, the characters who have come out on top, Udyr is one of them. You can honestly build basically whatever you want, as he's not like really centered on one build. You can go like AP, you can go AD tank, whatever you want based on enemy comp. So it really is that like generic puzzle piece that can fit into pretty much any comp you want. So I hope to be seeing it a lot this split, just as like a blind pick to kind of facilitate some counter picks for your team too.
It looks like it's still looks like our draft is still being a little bit funky, so we might go back to our faces, lovely faces of course here. Hopefully y'all are enjoying it as well, and we'll see if we can get that draft underway. Taking a look though, it's still not much to go on, so we'll have to wait and see if that is actively what's going to happen. Is, hey, you index into more of that just stay away from me type of ban list. You take away the Udyr, you take away maybe that Aurora as well, and we'll see how that kind of messes around. I think we are getting things actually very quickly, so shout out to our producer as well, Caddy, going to be running a lot of the hardlining for us, all of the back end stuff, because we just get to sit here and look pretty. It's much easier on our end, I think. So that is going to be the Talia. Udyr should be next, and we will finally be able to see a third ban of the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be Jarvan. That jungle focus is going to be like kept contributed to, as Gwen coming out on the other side. Bit of an interesting one to ban Gwen out so quickly.
I think that is a much more targeted ban. J-Force still feels general, but the LeBlanc headed towards that mid lane don't want to give that early game power over. Anyone that's played against a very good LeBlanc or Faker in the last few days on solo queue, if you haven't heard, have some fun with that one. Third ban though is the Skarner, still targeting that team fight, rotating into the team fight aspect. Skarner ban away Udyr and Gwen, all powerful champions to take away.
Yeah, this is really pinching that S tier jungle pool with all these like meta characters being taken out. What really is being left up now is like the Sejuani and the Vi. So we'll see if either of them gets picked up here. And it's actually going to be the Syndra, who's just such a great blind pick in today's meta as well. We've seen it so much in Worlds, and it's going to be being picked up first here.
Although I will say, whenever I see a general pick like this, I do fear that you're giving up something a little bit more. But I do think that Syndra does have enough power to overcome that. It is going to be that staple in the mid lane. You have that Scout of the Week. You can play a lot around that as well and compare with just about any jungle presence that you want, whether you go carry or whether you go engage tool. On the other side, for the Gnomes, you have your pick of the litter. Are you going to index into that bottom side, maybe pick up your ADC, figure out exactly where you want to place it, or are you going to save that towards a little bit safer angle, maybe look to be a mid lane matchup, go ahead, get that counter, and it is going to be that way. If Syndra is strong in the control and into scaling, you can match that with scaling and outrange the Syndra as well.
Yeah, Hui is someone who can bring that early lane prowess, and oh my god, yes, Zach main here, just gotta say it, love this character. Interesting that you pick it into the Syndra, who can just your engage, but hey, maybe he's got some tricks up his sleeve. Always love to see the Zach. If teams aren't experienced against it, this thing is more threatening than any other gank jungler you see, because he will just come out of nowhere. He'll come from behind you, he'll come from above you, and he will take you down.
Oh, that's going to be the danger factor if we are watching. And I mean, that does also mean that you might want to start looking at some dynamic champions. You're looking at maybe that Ezreal in the ADC role. That's not an Ezreal by any stretch of the imagination. This is a very easy target for Zach to hit. But for Ethereal, they're saying, hey, look, we're not too worried about that. This does bring into the idea that either you go hard lockdown, the Leona or anything like that, or you look into that support index. You look into maybe that Milio couple behind, a Lulu, even though it might be a little bit more suboptimal. Having that buffer in the support role can bring such a large dividend, but you got some time. If you want to counter that jungle matchup as well. They do say the Leona's good.
Yeah, I was looking if they might do like the Thresh or something, as you can just flay the engage really easily and keep that Jinx safe. The Leona is just another staple blind support pick, really tanky, solid engage that can get onto the Hui, for example. So yeah, interesting. Ethereal seemed like they had this plan coming in, and they're just like going straight towards it. They want these power pick characters going in, and oh my god, is that a Yasuo I see?
I really, really hope so. I feel like that's leading into the bottom side, which we have seen teams actually pick up. It's been very frustrating. It is one of the most annoying things that you can see, but against a scaler like a Jinx, you do have that raw early to mid game power that, if done well, can snowball a Yasuo very quickly. Granted, we don't know if that's in bot lane. I think it is, but we can see where the Hui and the Yasuo do decide to go. Into the second round of bans, though, surprisingly, the Yone's actually dropped down into that fourth slot, but the Swain on the other side taking away another control piece of the table.
Yeah, and honestly, Hui itself can be the bot laner, right? Yasuo is actually a pretty good matchup into the Syndra because you can just dodge her spheres so easily, and you can win wall the ulti as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually Yasuo mid and they kind of baited us and switched up Hui into that bot lane, who can pressure the Jinx and just keep her completely pushed into tower the entire lane.
That would be a nice one to mess with. The last bans did come through very quickly. The Swain, Yone into the Olaf and the Nautilus, taking away some of that bounce house mechanics. I do like this so far, but as you stated, the Thresh is still available, but for the other side this time around, if you wish to engage in that manner. For the Gnomes, though, this pickup here, you are either going to be blind picking your top lane and trying to figure out how it's going to work, or you look to maybe match that support role at the moment, or if you really want to get funky with it, it's a Yasuo Hui bottom lane and you just really hate everyone in the game that plays League, us on the desk. There's the rel. This makes a pretty nice setup. Still the knockup, still the engage.
Yeah, it's got to be the support here. I feel like you still got to try and keep that flex. The Yasuo potentially can go top as well, so best to just leave that out and leave the Yasuo and Hui flex up and just get a solid engage character who, most importantly, has a knockup with her engage in the kit, so you can get that delivery system for the Yasuo. And yeah, I mean, we've seen what Rel can do, right? Get those crazy engages on these two immobile carries specifically and just set up Yasuo to knock them down.
Oh, and there's that safety that I was mentioning. It is going to be that Ivern, a lot of shielding, a lot of ability to peel if you need to. It does scare me a little bit. Ethereal Spire looking a little bit squishy, especially with that Renekton locked in for that early game, trying to take over that top side. But this is why you like the red side. If you see the Renekton, you go ahead and slam down an attempted counterpick with that Jax, heavy on that mid to late brutality factor.
Yeah, I like the Jax coming in here, you know. Good to not send the Yasuo into the Renekton lane that it's honestly unplayable. Getting the Jax, who has better time than most, even though he won't get that early prio, he can scale like a monster. Yeah, I think it should kind of be like Hui mid or Yasuo mid here. We'll have to see. Honestly, it just comes down to who's more comfortable with each character. I think both should work out pretty well. I specifically do really like the Ivern though. I think having Daisy as a frontliner that you can just add to your composition, and also getting those shields, you can go like the redemption and stuff to just help out against that big wombo combo that XGG wants to go for, is going to be massive for Ethereal. So I think Ivern honestly is like saving their draft right now.
That could be a big piece of it. I mean, I generally don't, like myself, I don't put a whole lot of stock in Ivern. I always get scared whenever I see it on the draft, but I do agree in this current setting, you have that buffer ability. You can get the Jinx in there, you get the safety with the Daisy if you get it down in time, and there's a lot of denial tools. Against the Gnomes though, I gotta ask you, you're leading into Ethereal right now, do you agree the same for the Gnomes though? They have a very nice, forward moving composition. The Hui's the only one that might be lagging behind, but overall, do you like what XG Gnomes have done, or are you a little bit on the wayside?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me not to be biased against the Zac. When I see the Zac, I'm like, oh my god, Zac into two immobile carries. You gotta think it's really hard for Jinx to be able to play the game here. There's so much dive and like long range snipe coming in from the Hui as well. I think if XGG can execute on their dives and hit their wombos well, it'll be really hard for Ethereal to play the game. But if they just even make a little bit of a mistake, they don't finish off the Jinx, then or the Syndra, then Ivern will get the shields going. They can counter engage, and if Jinx gets excited, then the fight's over the other way.
That's fair. It's very do or die composition on either end. It feels like both spot. Well, maybe not so much for the Ivern. Ivern likes to keep everyone alive. That's what a very nice jungler will do in that scenario. At the current moment, though, we are going to go to a very short break as the compositions have been locked in, and we'll be able to speculate a little bit further as well as introduce the players to you in just a bit. However, we are going to go to a very short break and introduce you to, once again, our sponsor for Aegis Esports. It is going to be a little bit of a word about pro comps.
Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the League community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream.
Of course, we are live, ready to go for game number 1 here in the Defenders League between Ethereal Spire and XG Gnomes. And of course, on the blue side for Ethereal Spire, we got Jolts, who is, I believe, subbing in for Boreal. We have Barbecue Ribs, gotta love that name, Trillions, Beamer, and Critians, I think is what we're looking at here. Critians, of course, also getting into a little bit of a tough spot, as that's going to be a 2-man stomp coming out of Zijing on the other side for XGGG, and Beamer getting some good damage down means that the little bit of peak damage actually goes against the Gnomes this time around.
Yeah, I got some little early action coming in there, trading blows, but nothing really going to end up happening. Key things to realize is that each team just got wards on the enemy team's Raptors, so just going to try and find the enemy jungler's pathing. More importantly for the Zac, who could try and go for some ganks early game, but Ivan's going to be doing his kind of non-conventional clear, where he's going to go like up to down and then back to up again. So yeah, that should be pretty easy for him.
Yeah, this is it's going to be quite interesting. On the red side for the Gnomes, we got Dwam, we got Worm, Jones, Zui, as well as Killua, and Jing in the bottom side. I am very bad with name pronunciation, so I apologize. Taking a look, of course, we got the lane matchups, and as you mentioned, a little bit of an odd take from Ribs there. You can see the pathing already going for that buff, or just stacking it at the current moment, and keeping track of that is going to be very important, especially since Worm didn't recall to try and heal up. Instead, I think just kind of ate the damage, and Zac being able to sustain, nothing uncommon there.
Yeah, honestly, Zac is not going to be like too hurt by it. He'll just heal up with his blobs over time. And it's a worry if the enemy jungler is going to invade you, but Ivan, he's doing his own thing. You know, this pacifist play style. He's just going to be chilling, not really going to go hurt the blob anytime soon.
It's just so... it's just nice as a Zac. We're gonna glaze Zac a little bit here. It's gonna be nice because I mean it's a Zac and you love playing Zac. We'll have some fun with it until it goes poorly. So we'll see how that goes. Right now though, in the top side, Dwam is actually having a pretty healthy time against this Renekton. But as soon as level 3 hits, especially with Ribs heading towards that top side, it is a nice callback saying, hey, Jax, you can't get too comfortable. In the mid lane, we're also seeing Yasuo, you mentioned before, getting a little bit of an early advantage in the HP department.
Yeah, and I feel like both the solo laners of XGG are playing really aggressive right now, so we'll see if Barbecue Ribs can try and go in for a gank, try to capitalize on it here and there. You can see that they have push on all 3 lanes right now. It looks like Ivan is going to be heading towards that bottom scuttle, so we'll see if he can just like head on over there without any interruption from Zac, or if the laners will contest it anyway.
I'm also wondering that, but we're seeing double pings go down. Both sides actually saying, hey, we want to go for it. And that is quite surprising. But instead, we actually have a difference. Worm Jones saying, hey, I'm going to gank here. Doesn't get the knockback, but gets the draw back. A flash ain't going to really save you here. One more hit is going to do it. A dive into the tower, though, as Dwam says, thank you. 2 tower shots. Not enough first blood to the Jax.
Yeah, and that was just a great gank from the Zac, and now they're going to be looking to fight for that scuttle, but pretty sure Ivan, he does not have the smite, so he can't just steal it away from it. It might come down to a 50-50 here. Yasuo has the lane prio because Trillions is back in base, but he just wants to give it over, but a bit scared of the crocodile coming back.
I mean, I think that's also reasonable. You know that Jolts basically is using everything to ensure this wave isn't purely frozen, considering how large that wave is as well. If Dwam was allowed to freeze plus so-called SCS, I would cry, actually, as a top laner. I'd just be so sad. Rest of the lanes, though, as you mentioned, a little bit of a shakeup. You can see that everyone is kind of spread out here. The Zac going ahead and recalling, and now heading down towards around that dragon pit. Meanwhile, you can see Ribs sitting in that mid lane saying, hey, I'm going to be around just in case. Didn't opt to grab that scuttle right away, but instead is just playing it pretty nice and slow. So after that early kill, everyone going back to a quiet set.
Yep, just going to be going back to their clears here as Ivan, he's going to head back from base, looking to go ahead and grab that crab. once the timer is up. But wow, Dwam is he's playing so aggressive. You love to see it. I think this is a player that's actually confident on the Jax. If it's just someone picking it up to counter the Renekton, you'll see them playing passive all the time, but that is definitely not it. This guy's 37 to 25 in the matchup so far, and he's doing great.
He's loving every single moment of it. As an R5 pickup, that's exactly what you want to see out of your player, whether it be mid, whether it be top, whether it be jungle. You always want to see an R5 pick work out to an exceptional degree. Now, will it work all the way towards mid to late? We don't know. We're still going to wait and see. Dragon currently up. Grubs will be up as well, and considering where the camps are spawning, we might have a little bit of a contest with the Grubs being up in about 10. Means both junglers are in the area.
Yeah, looking at just the priors of the lanes here and seeing that Kissing has moved all the way up, and Koreans is very behind on the roam, so I think they just have to give this up. Try and look for the trade on the Hex Tech Dragon, maybe.
I mean, you could go ahead and trade it out. Hextech isn't bad to pick up early. It's a little bit of a nice one. Of course, it is a slow crawl over. Worm already clearing that one out for themselves. Now quickly they get all three Grubs will dictate how quickly they can get around and still be a giant pain in the butt. But just like you called it, you go ahead, head to the Hextech. It started only, about 5-10 seconds ago. Still though, it'll be a nice one, and you can also take it quite slowly, allowing Beamer to stay in that bottom side where after they recalled, went ahead, picked up the BS sword, heavy chunk of damage to start things out.
Yeah, and now Worm hovering around, looking if he can catch a jolt, seeing if he gets an opportunity of going in, but nope, nothing gonna be ended up happening. And personally, I really like the going for Grubs here as part of XGG's plan. They had their pick of the litter, I feel like, but in this game, when you have the Yasuo and the Jax on the split push, I think getting the 6 Grubs on them can make such a huge difference in that mid to late game.
I would agree with that one, especially when you have that just raw power, especially with the Yasuo as well, which we do need to talk about this. The way in the bottom side with the Rel, I mean, this is not exactly standard by any means, but so far it's working out decently well, up in CS numbers by about half a wave. I mean, is this something that you expected when you see a Rel way in the bottom lane?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Hui is someone who can really bring that early pressure, and then when you're against someone like the Jinx, who is just super weak early game, this Leona is just never allowed to go in, just ever. She's kind of just sitting there, just babysitting the Jinx. She's like, here, get the CS, get that, and just scaling her up to like 1-2 items basically. But honestly, like Jinx is doing fine. She's just a few CS down. She should be able to scale okay into the mid to late game, but that might all change as the junglers are hovering around.
I mean, it's great timing as well, considering how hard Killua and Jing have been hard pushed in multiple times. You kind of expect this to happen. Both choppers go down. It's a huge CC stun. Killua is actually very low. That's a slam in as Worm tries to turn it around, but it's low, and that leaves it for the Rocket. It's a turnaround on the bot side as Jing is also going to go down. Beamer grabs 2 and is looking for another zap, lands, but it's not the finish, and the blobs will not be summoned. But it's still a 2-piece for Beamer on the Jinx. Credit over to Critians as well as Ribs.
Yeah, I think Killua is just getting a bit too cocky there. He's trying to bait the Leona to go in, but doesn't really expect the burst that can come in. And it's actually going to be the super mega death rocket from Beamer that's going to snipe him in the end, even after he flashed away. So this is just huge for Beamer, getting 2 kills and still like being fine in this late against such an early strong opponent is massive for this Jinx.
As soon as we talked about, that Killua doing okay, and you mentioned that the Jinx was doing good, they're like, we don't want to do good. We want to do great. And that's what we're hoping to see a little bit more of, especially considering how the top lane has been going for Ethereal Spire and how mid is going. You want a winning lane somewhere. It might not be your mid lane or early to mid pressure. It's still really good to have. I mean, Trillions and Jolts, it's gonna be a while before they feel powerful in any capacity.
Yeah, honestly, the Renekton, the way the lane is going so far, he can kind of just be like a stun bot in the team fights. But I think unless he gets some help in this top lane or anything like that, it's gonna look really rough for him. There's a massive wave crashing into Dwom's tower here, so he's gonna be like more than a kill with the CS up and have that additional kill onto him. So I feel like it's really hard for this Renekton, especially after Jax gets the 2 items to really just contest him in lane.
I mean, you can see it there. 800 gold up. And in the mid lane, 400 for Zooey. Zooey, who has not gotten a kill, not really roamed outside of the lane, has silently farmed up a decent CS lead of about 13, so about 2 waves, plus 2 plates on top of it. Has had a decent extension on the gold, and even with Trillions making sure that the Zac doesn't get any free engagements. Worm Jones just sticking around, forcing Trillions to be more passive, allow the wave to pressure in, is leaving so much space on the top side. Gnomes are allowed to go for these grubs on the bot side. Ribs was trying to set up a dastardly bush gank, and Killua was like, yeah, you're not gonna catch me.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good trade. I feel like both teams are happy with this, as Zuli, surely nothing gonna happen there. But like Jinx is getting these solo plates here on the bot side while you're getting the 6 grubs for your fed solo laners. Oh, engage.
And that's an easy punch. And with the TP as well, you ensure that it's gonna be a complete 2-piece. Granting both kills over to Dwom is just icing on the cake as well.
Yeah, and on the top side, Jolts is not going to get access to this tower either, as Worm is going to be in the top lane. Shouldn't have any kill pressure here, but just going to make sure no plates get taken from this TP. But it feels good to be Dwom right now. You just TP in, get a nice little 2 kills for yourself, and you are chilling.
And I mean, you talked about it as well with the grubs being taken so early and with the pressure that you've earned. You can already see those voidlings doing so much work, granting a grand total, I think, of 7 plates. Of course, now here comes the punishment as a return revenge TP brings Jolt straight to this bottom lane. Killua will be the sacrificial lamb as they go down. Rotating into Dragon will be the next piece of the puzzle, but that also means Dwom is going to get an extended amount of gold on the top side.
Yeah, they're going to be going for this dragon, and we're going to see Trillion start to go towards this top lane. So Jax hopefully shouldn't get too many plates here, maybe just like 1 more, as Syndra is almost here. But yeah, they just take a play from the enemy team's book and just do the same thing over again. But at least I believe the Rel does get out. They don't get both kills. They just focus down onto Killua there.
It's just you take what you can get and ensure that you get the 80 to 90% or 100% play. That'll yield you results. No need to chase any further. You're ensuring that Killua isn't going to be the mainstay in DPS. At the current moment, though, you do have to worry about other angles. We're already reaching the point where first tower might be going down very quickly, because you take a look at it. The Gnomes have secured or left up only 5 plates out of the 15 possible, which is a wild number, by the way. 10 plates alone grants them a boon of about 2.3k in the early stages, which can sway some of these early fights for the first tower.
Yeah, and we'll have to see now as this laning phase is about to end. Killua's gonna take this tower and start heading up mid. Oh, BBQ Red's in trouble.
Oh man, gotta flash away inside of your own jungle, but Zooey really wants an early kill. Gets another stab, but no knockup available. Jing is ready to go with the crash down, only knocking up Critian's. Beamer also flashing away from the knockup, really ensuring Zooey can't do anything. And now it's actually Worm that's stuck, but a nice little burn from Killua brings another, and the wind knocks up Beamer on the back end. Last breath doesn't do more than CC, but Beamer is still alive. That is the main point of all of this, as it's only Critians to go down.
Yeah, and Worm, he had the Q on Beamer, but he never auto-attacked anything else to pull her in. So Beamer just ends up living well. I think she really should have died there. But yeah, and you got the Zac passive too, so Worm is going to ended up being okay at the end of it as well. So just going to be that 1 kill there. But yeah, you can see here now, I think this is where the game really blows open. You got these super fed solo laners. you got one turret down in the bot lane. Whoever has to face their enemy there, it's so hard to just like stand up near the river in that lane because Jax can chase Renekton down, Yasuo can easily chase Syndra down. So I think XGG, this is where they really have to come alive.
Oh man, well, coming alive also means dealing with death, and Worm Jones unfortunately met their untimely demise, forgot to sweep that bush, loses their life, which actually opens up an avenue for this Rift Herald.
Yeah, they actually have a chance here to get something, gonna capitalize off that kill onto the jungler here, but instead, I believe Ivan's actually looking for Dwam here.
I mean, Dwam has an out, has flash as well, so just walks away, but this is giving that time. You mentioned with Ribs up here, there's a chance at something else as Jing is also going to join in.
Yeah, they are going to be starting up the Herald a bit late here, but they might end up losing the mid tower if they want to focus on this. With just that little bit of more time being taken as Killua, he's going to melt that wave instantly. Oh, TP behind, they're looking for play.
This can be big, and remember, it's Zui. Zui has only 1 assist, wants a little bit more. They're gonna trade off, that's crash down, but it stops. Any sort of last breath, they're waiting for a chance as in goes Dwam. Double stun into DPS. Last breath takes away the Renekton, and they are gonna get Slamma 2 as Beamer is now locked up on the back lines. Trillions was trying to do work, but instead loses their own life, and it's a wash of 3 for 0 as the Gnomes run rampant in the garden.
Yeah, Beamer may still be alive, but he's watching his team die around him, as that was such a beautiful TP flank from Zui, getting behind them and just cleaning them up. The Ethereal don't even get the Herald there, you know? It's sad, as their XG's just going to be picking that up for themselves here.
Oh man, there's only so much you can do, and honestly, it feels like Gnomes have been in control for a majority share of this game. Even at the early start, you could see where the composition was aimed at with the early draft. We saw the likes of that way plus the Zac be locked in, and then as soon as we saw the Yasuo and the Jax, we were like, man, if they get off in the early game, early mid, it's going to be disastrous for Ethereal Spire. And now you get to look at it. Dwam is 4-0-2. That Jax is more than online.
Yeah, I mean, Dwam has just been continuously getting fed in this game. This Jax is going to be so scary to deal with, especially when you're looking at the side of Ethereal, right? You kind of have to just play for the Jinx at this point, but there's someone who just will not get hit by her auto attacks for a while, so you're like, what do we do now?
It's just so dangerous. And honestly, I'm sitting here going, how do they actually fight back here? Ethereal Spire, they're still waiting for the Jinx to power up. Yes, you're 2 items, but you're nowhere near complete. Looking in the mid, Trillions going with that Luden's Echo, Luden's Companion there. It's just not enough to really force their way through the likes of Killua's HP stack, of Zui's HP stack when you have the Bork ready. I mean, what are you really wanting to do here if you are Ethereal Spires?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a little bit of turtling mode that has to happen. Jinx has to get at least 2 items before they can even consider fighting for anything. One thing that is going for them is that they got 2 dragons in the early game, so they kind of have like 10 extra minutes where they can just give the dragons and just like chill and farm and get the 120 stacks onto the Syndra, get 2, maybe 3 items onto the Jinx, and look to contest back into the game then.
Let's see if things will work out in their favor, if the Gnomes will even allow that scaling to happen. As Zui is once again here in the bottom side, ready with 2 other members, mainly because it's a double press in the top side. Scout the Weekend is going to land, but Trillions is going to get knocked up. No way out, and you are just dead. Rocket from downtown is able to secure that kill, and maybe this turnaround is going to allow Beamer to actually step back up as they get a catch under tower. This tower dive has went completely wrong, as that's a triple gift wrapped and donated to Beamer.
All right, I mean, I guess that just happened. Beamer picking up 3 more kills. That is exactly what Ethereal Spire needed here, as they're going to be looking to get another tower in the top side as well. And now Ethereal look like they're slowly getting back into this game. It looked completely over, but now they got a chance again.
To be fair, that's only on the bottom side of the map. Beamer is the one with all of the kills right now. 4 Jolts and Trillions, it's going to take a little bit more time, but as soon as Ethereal Spires, like you said, start grouping up, start working together, it is going to be disastrous for XGGG. So how does this play out? 2 dragons have gone the way of Ethereal Spires as well. Next dragon, it is a cloud. It's not the greatest one in the world, But if they can get their hands on it, they'll put themselves on soul point. So the next few minutes will be very interesting to watch. Dwam trying to stat check Jolts a little bit, not really finding much. But you can see the pings going down. Jolts is very wise to the possibility of a gank.
Yeah, and something I want to point out, Dwam actually has gone Wits and second item. I saw the Negatron cloak earlier and I was like, that's a bit weird, but you got a 5-kill Jinx on the enemy team, and getting the Wits and second isn't going to help him too much here. So, you know, Ethereal have a good chance of like being able to maybe deal with this Jax. I think in the next team fight, whether it comes like the next Dragon or Baron or anything like that, it's really going to come down to if Beamer can stay alive, which he's done a pretty good job of so far, and just dish out that damage instead of just being jumped on and wombo comboed.
It's such a interesting choice, I would agree, but we'll see if it pans out. I mean, you have a lot of gold, you're able to grab that pickaxe pretty much right afterwards, so maybe it's just that I want to say detour, that pit stop that you're saying, hey, we don't have to worry about too much. Right now though, it is a battle of vision. You can see Jing going ahead, trying to lay down those pink wards, get coverage over this Baron, draw the opponent into a bad fight. Meanwhile, Beamer, the rest of Ethereal Spire, just ensuring that they're getting their own farm and slowly allowing Critians to wander their way forward, maybe look at clearing out that pink ward. Oh, nice push, ensuring that Jing is going to be identified.
Yeah, some tricks with the Ivern here just to help them out. It's going to be easy for them to really just like face check into whatever they need to using Daisy or the Bush tactics like that. I just also want to bring up having the Ivern for the Jinx, going that Moonstone and the Redemption is just so massive to keep Beamer alive as well. I think like if it was any other jungler, like they already have a little bit of a front line in front of them, but getting those items to just like get that Jinx alive and stronger is so huge for the upcoming team fights too.
Well, of course, it might be strong, but sometimes you can't deal with a charging Rift Herald. So mid tower is going to be broken, allowing a lot of rotations to be utilized as the mid 2 is gone. Rocket actually goes out just to see if the Baron is being done, but it is not. Instead, you realize that for the Gnomes, you have pretty much dominated this top side of the map, and on the other side, Zooey is the one that's actually going to get jumped on here. So because of those rotation in the jungle, Zooey's the one that pays the price. Ethereal Spire find one, are looking for a second as this fight is bringing Killua to a dangerous spot. In goes Worm, trying to ensure that you get the jump on, and Dwam goes straight to the backline, double stun, and they're going to try and wander their way forward, but unfortunately there's not much else. Worm is soloed out, and you're just a tank. You are nothing more than HP in a bottle. Killua has to run for their lives, same with Jing and Dwam, and honestly, with how much fight has gone on, it's different. What a scout of the week! You had the wards, you knew where they were, and they get the catch. Killua's down, Ethereal Spires straight to Baron.
Yeah, and there's not much that Kijing is going to be able to do about this. Dwam is still here. We'll see if he can make some miracle happen, but not looking like that as he's just getting the mid wave. What another turn by Ethereal here. They're just finding great angles out of nowhere. Jolt's dashing up the wave, getting the stun onto Zooey, and getting the fight started when, honestly, XGG, they were not ready for that. They were just completely spread out, and, you know, Dwam, he tried his best. He flashed on Beamer, but Beamer with the flash, having his teammates around him, was just completely safe.
I mean, this is just another piece to that puzzle. It feels like Jing and Dwam, the rest of the squad of the Gnomes, they were off to a hot streak, but their positioning has started to be called into question here. They still have the damage, don't get me wrong. A 402 Jax is still very, very powerful, and we've yet to really see Zooey pop off here. Considering they went with the graphs instead, just ensuring that they're able to get some of that damage down and get a little bit more HP. But with this dragon, it is collected. Killua is going to try and run interference. And Jing, I'm not sure what they're doing because they decided to try and chase in, thought maybe they had a team fight angle. But with Dwam recalling and now heading back out on the map, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think they kind of want to try and make as much use of this Baron buff as possible now. That bot tower looks like it should be pretty easy to pick up. We see Jolt's getting the reset, maybe going to be heading down bot here to look to get that standing gold on the map. The mid tower is also so low.
One of those moments that you're just like, dang, if all we had was just an extra 30 seconds, an extra minute, we could get that tower, get a little bit of influx of gold, and make sure to start closing that gap, which honestly, the 2.2 now dropping to about 1.7. Hasn't been that big of a change. Gnomes have been sitting on that since about minute 15, I believe. So to see that not change is actually a huge win for Ethereal. Spires. In comes this last wave. Should be enough to break this tower, but no. You willingly back up here saying we don't want to get caught in a bad angle, which respect to them.
Yeah, and now they're looking for that tower. Zui looking for an angle here, but Jolts, he's waiting behind. The crocodile comes out, but also is fine for now. And now I think you're really looking to the point where this Jinx is getting out of control, right? You gotta try and make a play. You have so much engage on the side of XGG, but you gotta try and sweep out some of the vision here to try and get an angle onto this flashless Jinx.
Let's see if they can do so. Right now, I mean, no dragon for another 3.5 minutes. Ethereal Spires, I understand that you want to put a lot of pressure here, and considering that you put Jolts into the bottom side trying to make a play on the Yasuo, but top side hasn't been pressured in, and I feel like they could have done a 1-3-1 of sorts. However, they've earned their right to the mid lane tower. How much more? That's the question. Solar Filler goes down, and they actually are going to get a little bit of a catch, but a stun instead brings a crash down into the midst. Magnustorm brings them all close, and they do jump straight to the back line, and this time it's a beautiful engage from the Gnomes. They give right back to Ethereal Spires, pay them back for the mid tower, and take 3 lives.
It finally happens. They are able to get onto Beamer now that they have no flash. The Yasuo ult goes down, the knockups go in, and Jinx gets taken down with no problem. And this was the power of the comp that we were talking about coming in, right? It's finally executed upon. That Jinx cannot play the game if they don't have flash.
And they lose so much right now. They lose the inhibitor. They could possibly lose bot side as well. You can see Dwalm is going ahead pushing that up. There is enough time, and I think enough damage if they so wish. However, with everyone coming up, you are going to go ahead and recall, most likely not expend your lives, and maybe look at a few other categories with Dragon up in about 2 minutes as well. Bot side jungle control for the Gnomes wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, and the good thing is Beamer should have flash for that upcoming Dragon fight. He does get the red buff. He does get out.
It's a nice little angle to play for, and it's a bit spicy as well. I am surprised to not see a good coverage with the pink wards. I think that's something that I'm surprised about. However, at the same time, maps, you know, somewhat dark enough for a fight to engage, and I don't think the Gnomes are too worried. Ethereal Spires, though, they really do want to position around this dragon. They don't want to give up. Basically, the objective that they swapped out for grubs go to the opponent's hands.
Yeah, and just looking at sums on all sides, right? Most flashes are basically all up other than Kishin's here, so they are going to have to look to see if they can try and get onto this Beamer. It's all going to be on can they get onto this Jinx, because she has 3 items right now. She does so much damage. If she's allowed to free hit, then XGG don't stand a chance.
Oh, man. A scary option as Dwalm is going straight for the demolish build. Ain't no way Jolts can do anything as this Jax is fully online right now. 3 items deep, pickaxe still in pocket, and a way out of the fight brings it to a painful realization. You just lost the tower for nothing.
Yeah, and Dwam is just getting so much gold funneled into him. He's also 3 items as well. He's really hard to take down too. This build is so durable with the stairs and wits end. Oh, face check. They got the flash. That's the huge part.
100%, but they might pay with their jungler, which is actually disastrous considering the objectives coming up here, and no one's willing to help out. You could drop a teleport, but it's not going to happen. Now a flash forward. Good fear coming out of Killua. Killua is able to stave off a stun, which would have resulted in their death, meaning this kill may not be that bad for the Gnomes at least.
Yep, Zac is going to be dead for 30 more seconds here, and the dragon is up, so we'll have to see if Ethereal Spire can force their way in, as now Cridian's forced to flash away.
And it's another flash, but you can't go that far. You're just a lowly support. Dwam goes ahead and whacks away with that lamppost. And it's looking a little bit better for the Gnomes as they look towards the Baron.
Yeah, and after getting that pick onto the enemy jungler, Ethereal was kind of scattered in what they wanted to do here, and they end up paying the price with Cridian's kind of looking for vision by himself, ends up going down, and in the end, it's now XGG should be looking for another pick here.
Oh man. It's just so scary. Killua is now just straight up in the CC, and the flash over the wall brings Dom to a close. Ain't no redemption to save you here. You are one and done. Killua picking up their third of the game as the Baron will be secured.
Well, I'm taking the game into his hands, just flashing over the Raptor wall, getting onto Beamer, and just setting up the play for his team. As Beamer goes down, so do their hopes that it's going to be the Baron going down for XGG.
Oh man. What is going on here? It feels like the Gnomes have just swung everything back in their favor. Their aggressive stances have yielded so many results here. Second Baron in the game, first for themselves, and they're going to put themselves on soul point as well, unless we get to see Beamer come up last minute rocket. But I think this dragon's going to fall pretty dang quickly in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah, and they're going to end up picking up both here. Ethereal's really just too scared to go anywhere without their Jinx. They don't want to get collapsed upon again. They didn't try to look for like a little trade of Dragon for Baron or anything. Just going to be sitting internally in their base and scaling up as time goes on.
Pain. Just sitting back and having to scale is one of the worst feelings, I feel like, especially when you're already 3 items. You can take a look at that. Beamer's like, yeah, I'm pretty dang strong. And Trillions is as well, but they've hit it at such a late point. Killua sitting on 3.5, already has that Crypt Bloom in the market and building into that Zhonya's. You are safe. Zui as well didn't go for the Wits End build, didn't need to, has that Stridebreaker in pocket. You are just almost immortal depending on how you decide to engage. This is going to be that full court press, I think, from the Gnomes as they look to take the top and bot inhibitors.
Yeah, and honestly, Beamer, he's got 3 items. He could have like 10 items, but there's nothing he can do if everyone just jumps on him. I think it's more about his positioning and his team keeping him alive. He cannot get jumped on in these fights. It's just, if he does, it's all over. So I think it's just going to come down to that execution. And if we've learned anything from this game, it is far from over. Anything can happen.
Oh, 100%. We're reaching into the deep ends of the game. 31.5 minutes. As both sides are trying to figure out how they want to break the base. Inhibitor has come back up, so Ethereal Spires are able to rest on that piece of information. How much longer is it going to stay up? You be the judge of that one. We're gonna wait and see if a Dwam can take another tower on their own, but Jolts actually goes in and says, hey Zui, you're not gonna get away with this for free. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a piece of the pie, though, as that's the bottom side Inhibitor tower going down. Inhibitor soon to follow with mid collapsing all the same. It's 2 down in the blink of an eye. Top side might be the next call for the Gnomes if they wish to close this out cleanly.
Yeah, they're taking it in their face as Jolt's in a bit of trouble. Dodges out. Oh.
Yep, Jolts wanted to make a little bit of an example, but unfortunately doesn't do enough. Only took about 50% out of Zui's HP bar, and they're still pretty dang strong. The tower is going to fall, though, thanks to double cannon minions. Now Jolts is all alone. There is no safety, and they draw the Ivern in as well. Ribs trying to stay away from the fight, but on the flip end, we're seeing fights break out. Beamer right in the middle, which is not what you want to see in ADC. Critians trying to run for their life. Trillions with the scout of the week, but you're only delaying the inevitable, as this is a chase for glory. The Gnomes will go ahead and take that ace with a quadra kill for Dwam. Well deserved. 10-0-5, unkillable in this game 1 victory.
Yeah, and it was just cleaned out so cleanly to perfection by XG Gnomes here as they take game number 1. And yeah, Dwam was just insane this game. You know, the plays that he's making, he's getting onto the right targets every time. And yeah, there were a few oopsies by them getting some kills onto the Jinx, just sprinkled in here left and right, but in the end they managed to get their stuff together, just force the base to be just taken down little bit by little bit, and in the end you can see that gold graph, you know, just goes straight down as it's a win for XG Gnomes.
And I think the surprising factor as well is you take a look at the damage charts. Killua was actually outputting a lot of damage in there, 30,000, which by the way is more than what Dwam and Zui were putting out combined. Do you think the play was the right choice there? Obviously in the damage numbers it was great, but I mean, it's just surprising to see.
Yeah, and he's just able to poke the entire game, right? In laning phase, he just permanently has prio whenever he wants to. He's up against a melee support too, so he can just poke so easily, just get damage off. And part of it was, I think, like Leona has to kind of walk in by herself to get vision, but Hui's just sniping her from afar as well. So even outside of the team fights, he's able to really build up so much damage, so much pressure for his team. And yeah, I think it really resulted in being super effective in that early to mid game, and in the end, Jinx, she is that late game demon, but she never really got around to it as the base collapsed upon her before she was able to fully scale up.
And that's the thing that we got to watch for Ethereal Spires. They're hoping to be able to scale into the late game, and they're going to have to scale into the series as well. As with game one done, they don't have any more safety nets. So we will have to see what goes down here for Aegis Defenders League, though. The opening match of the Aegis Esports Fall season. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll be back with game number 2. Don't go anywhere. And of course, we are back for game number 2. Game number 1, draft, headed towards late game for Ethereal Spires, but not allowed to get that far. For the Gnomes, though, very chaotic. I want to say early game looked great, mid game, little bit of slip in here, and then late game, at least for them, was very strong. Taking a look at game number 2, though, we're straight into draft, and you can see that, of course, the Gnomes are on the blue side as Ethereal Spires have opted for red, but what has not changed are the bans. Still the Udyr and still the Talia.
Yeah, looks like those focus picks are going to remain the same. We'll see if Ethereal want to try and ban out the Zac or the Yasuo or the Hui or anything. I think it really makes draft a bit complicated as well. Being able to just flex the Hui and Yasuo, you're not sure where each thing is going to go. And I think part of that was what made it difficult, right? You got the Hui into the Jinx, which they could just like slot into right at the end after they picked their last pick. And it just was controlling the entire lane the entire time. And yeah, the Syndra was what I was going to say is like maybe that's something SG was going to ban out because it's just such a strong staple pick and that's what they go for.
Which is interesting considering I do feel like Zooey actually played very well into it. But considering what went down, of course, it is actually going to be the double AP bans, like you mentioned, Karthik, pretty much 100% on the head. Don't want to deal with either of them. They are annoying. They are frustrating. So we'll see if anything else comes of it. Because of that, though, now you have to reevaluate your draft, and that's what you're actually aiming for. Because the Hui was banned and because the Syndra was banned, actually, the Gnomes say, hey, we didn't have to ban it. We're going to take it.
Yeah, and I think Skarner's a great S tier jungler right now as well too. We see it everywhere in Worlds as well. It can just get so tanky, has a good reliable engage and crazy ganks out of nowhere, pretty similar to Zac in that aspect, honestly. But on the other hand, Kai'Sa, a great versatile ADC as well to come across. So you can kind of slot it into pretty much any type of comp.
And I think with that Kai'Sa, you also want to dive Buddy, something that we saw Ethereal Spire do last time as well. Last time it was the Leona, but I do think the Nautilus provides a little bit more reliable CC engagement, especially if you get ahead early. So you're going to lock that one in for the Gnomes. What do you decide to do? You can go ahead, lock in your bot lane here, which if you so wish, maybe not the Ezreal. Obviously, Kai'Sa is known as the Ezreal killer at this point. It's going to be the Ashe, and I actually really like this. Just like you're a fan of the Zac, I'm a huge fan of the Ashe. Love the champion, and I really actually appreciate this with that Crystal Arrow. Will be very useful, I think, this game.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick into the Kai'Sa as well. You can really just bully her with the extra range repetitively, especially if you get a strong laning support. We see Ashe with stuff like Renata as well, which Nautilus just cannot engage. Leon as well, just matching that Nautilus in terms of the engage potential. I think XG is just once again saying we want that bot lane prio, we want to have that control.
Of course, with control comes a little bit of responsibility, and that's a lot of CC that has basically been drafted in by the Gnomes. For Ethereal Spire, you got to figure this out. You got to sit there and go, hey, what are we going to do with this? How are we going to mess with this? And how can we, kind of pick our champions and composition around it? Because you yourselves have also opted for an engage duel, and they say, I love it. Hey, listen, if we're going to go in, we're going to go in. Bring the Olaf.
Yeah, actually he's drafting all the CC, and then Olaf is just like, yeah, how about I press R? And I think it's so good into the Ashe here. If Olaf gets on Ashe, there's just nothing she can do. Leona can't stun, Skarner can't pull him away, and Ashe is just gonna end up going down. She doesn't have the damage to burst the Olaf until maybe 6 items into the game. And on top of that too, Olaf is a great flex, right? We've seen it mainly in the top lane, but it can go very well in the jungle as well, and is really good into the Skarner to just chase him down and not be affected by the slows and the CC that Skarner brings with him.
Oh man, it's such a nice kind of shake up there. And now we get the draft ban phase once again, and you can see the LeBlanc's still high priority, and there's same with the Yone, which has dropped down in the second round bans. But on the flip for the Gnomes, because you see the Olaf, you are going to go ahead and ban out the Galio instead, really targeting that mid lane champion pool. That is now, I believe, the 6th, technically 7th if you want to call Talia mid laner, 7th mid lane ban to come out here.
Yeah, and that's really shrinking that pool. We'll see what ends up being left up. There's still a few good options, Orianna namely being one of them. A lot of mages still left up as well. There's also like the AD options if people want to go towards like the Tristana that's still being played here and there. Things like that. I think there's still a few things left up here. Maybe we'll see Orianna Nocturne coming in from Ethereal Spire. It's still doable and kind of fits with that dive comp that they kind of have going there as well.
Yeah, I am actually taking a look at Ethereal Spire, and I'm looking on the other side for Gnomes. I'm like, you can grab the likes of maybe an Anivia just to be a wall menace. But it looks like for Ethereal Spire, they did pick. We are just having a little bit of a technical issue here. So it is the Silas to be picked up. Going ahead and saying, hey, we want all the ultimates, which I really do appreciate. You get a Depth Charge for free. You get a Ragnarok for free. You get a Killer Instinct for free. This is beautiful work here. The question is, what else are they going to pair it with, and how do you opt to engage against it? What will that be? Give it a little bit of time as we do get that information for you, and as soon as we do, we will let you know. Finally, the last little bit for the Gnomes. What are they going to lock in here? That is the big question. And of course, another side of it is just, how do you want to play it? Oh, nope, that's not the one that I wanted. Okay. So yeah, we'll give it a little bit of time and we will Oh, okay. So it was Orianna. You mentioned it before. Yeah. We were waiting to see. It is the Orianna and an Aurora. So that might be a Silence Jungle and all. And then to round things out, a Lulu.
Honestly, I think that Lulu's more for the Olaf than the Kais. Yeah, is this Lulu top? I want to say it's either Lulu or Nautilus top. Maybe it can be the Lulu to match up against the Aurora top. You kind of want some more range as melees really struggle into Aurora. Lulu, you got the shields, and you can honestly beat Aurora in trades once. Like you haven't seen a Lulu with income. It's
when the little kid gets the wallet, things go a little bit crazy, and that terrifies me. I gotta agree with that one. The Aurora can be so messy, and we do feel like it is going to go to the top side. At the same time, you can't flex it. I've seen Aurora do very well into an Orianna, so if you want to try and send the Silas as that guinea pig, that poor lane matchup, whatever you want to do. The Gnomes have gone for power. They have a lot of CC, a lot of options here. For Ethereal Spire, though, it feels like they've gone out on a little bit of a limb here. Do you like what Ethereal Spire have done, considering what they drafted in game 1, which was that late game, now indexing in game 2 a little closer towards that mid game angle?
Yeah, I think the red side draft is pretty wonky again. I think I'm honestly a pretty big fan of Olaf Lulu together in those team fights. It's pretty hard for anyone on the side of XG to do really anything about it. Honestly, I'm not sure if Olaf can just run through Aurora's ultimate. We'll have to wait and see if bringing Olaf to another world can literally stop him, or if he's literally too angry to care.
Imagine that, like, just brute force, I don't want to go. That's it. That's all that's going to be said. So we'll have to see if that does play out. For right now, though, we are going to go to a very short break, ensure that these champions are accurate, and figure out exactly what's going to go down, because I'm very curious if this is going to be a 2-0 or if Ethereal Spires have kind of big brain themselves into a game 3. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Well, it is time to see if all the magic works, and there's some magic in the air, whether we like it or not. Aurora bringing out the Ethereal planes, and Ethereal Spire is bringing out the Lulu magic, so there's going to be a lot of questions for us at least. Right now, though, we do see a 4-man kind of gank squad checking things out here and maybe taking a peek and see if they can find a Beamer inside of that bush, as all 5 are actually going to get there as well.
Yeah, Beamer better not be window shopping here. He better keep his eyes in front of him. They might go for a late invade here.
Oh, that could be so dangerous too. It could be wild to watch, of course.
Oh no, don't tease us like this. They were just there expecting the other team to invade, but nothing ends up happening. So we're gonna be ending up going up to our normal lanes. But kind of looking at the matchups here, right? I think there's mainly that one big one in the top lane. You see the Aurora and the Lulu, and I actually love the Lulu counter pick by Jolts here, you know? Aurora is really good at punishing these short-range melee characters with her abilities, but Lulu with the shield and range, with the electrocute as well, can match and even win out on those trades against Aurora, so she can't do what she wants.
I think that will play a pretty big part in this game. I mean, you are not only picking this Lulu to be an annoyance, but you're picking it to basically cry out to the entirety of the game, hey, I'm going to be expecting Olaf topside. Like, that is my goal. I'm picking Lulu, and I'm going to try and get an aggressive stance off. I really don't think this is carry Lulu. If it were, I feel like it'd be AD Lulu, right? We'd be seeing that AD machine gun Lulu to come out here. For the current moment, though, I mean, I feel like it directs a lot of what Ethereal Spires wants to do directly towards that top lane range.
Yeah, and in the mid game, when you get Olaf with the Lulu buffed up, that Olaf is really difficult to deal with. He's gonna have the ghost to get on top of you as well. I feel like if Lulu and Olaf don't get behind and they run into these team fights for dragons, then it is really difficult for XG to deal with that top and jungle combo.
I get to behind that one, of course, Trillions in a little bit of danger, but Zooey going with that electrocute of their own. Anyone that's played mid lane knows that a Silas is dangerous, hitting those level 2s and level 3s.
Yeah, and now it's really difficult for Trillions to play this lane. Skarner's coming up. If Zooey flashes on him and hits the chains, he is just dead as well too. As a level 3 hit, he's looking, chains land, and Orianna go bye-bye.
So easy. So easy and free. Zooey didn't even allow Worm to get the assist, by the way.
He died too quick.
Pain, just pain. But at the current moment, we are going to see if that's going to change things up. Remember, last time Zooey basically had to play Farm Simulator on a Yasuo. So on a Silas this time, much more aggressive, much more upfront.
Yeah, I mean, even on the Yasuo too, he was getting those grass pucks repeatedly against the Syndra, eating into her face, doing really well. And in this lane, he's already got a solo kill. So really showcasing his prowess in this game and showing up as the forefront and looking to be fed in these coming up skirmishes.
Yeah. For right now, though, it's just a single kill. Will it make a giant dent in this entire game? We're not sure. Bot side, though, cleanse and flash being used on for Beaver to stay alive. But now Critians has to run away, and Worm Jones is like, yo, I'm here. Bring another kill. This is why the Skarner is so highly prioritized and why it feels bad giving it to Worm.
Yeah, great engage there by both Skarner and Leona, combining with the CC and gonna end up picking the kill. But on top of that, they also get both sums out of Beamer. So once Skarner is coming back in the future, we're gonna see who's gonna be the prime target there.
I think it's whoever is more available. Honestly, I always feel like a Skarner has the pick of the litter at that point. You can do whatever you want to if you're ahead, if you're very strong. But giving that kill over to the carries as well, Killua on this Ashe does need that power to kind of sprint forward and start taking over this game. For Ribs, though, saying in the same vein, hey, we want to take an aggressive stance, that's going to be the call. But with Crichton stepping up, it is going to be that little bit of a call down, and with no flash, no exhaust or heal, no, none of those. Ignite, I can read summoner spells. It will be the kill. Beamer getting a kill right back.
Yeah, and both junglers just coming into this bot lane. Both of them just like wards in the river are just not there, so junglers can just walk up and do what they want, honestly. And both going to end up going down here. And now, because of that prio and the timing, it's going to be Barbecue Rib starting up that Ocean Dragon.
Oh, man. this is also a lot more dangerous than I think the previous ones. Last time it was a Hex Tech to start, and yet this time around, it's... I mean, an Ocean is so good to get early. Like, this is the prime early game dragon to grab. If you are in a trading scenario, top side is really going to enjoy it. Bot side is going to enjoy it. Zooey might even enjoy it as a... Not going to enjoy the sombrero, though. Might have forgotten that when you grab a shockwave from an Orianna, it's just a sombrero.
Yeah, he might be doing it just the lane push to get that prio onto the grubs, maybe, but not sure. Zooey, hey, he cooked up a solo kill last time. We can give it to him this time, you know?
Yeah, plenty of times and chances later on, but with that ulti down, it does give a little bit more power over to Trillions, who in this mid lane, even though they got killed early, hasn't actually lost out too much on lane prio or lane presence with the minions, so that's going to be really nice. On the other end, we do get to talk about Jolts, who last time around didn't have the greatest time on the Renekton. This time around, making sure to match in the CS department, roaming out to help some of the other teams, walking over a lot of wards in the process.
Yeah, and we actually see here, Hussein has walked up to that Herald, or sorry, the Grubs here, leaving Killua by himself in the bot lane. I feel like he's very susceptible to a dive. He does have both sums, but against the Nautilus, it can get pretty scary here. Looks like he is going to get back in time, though.
But you can see Killua is just like, yo, I got that sixth sense. I've fought many battles, and I know exactly what to do. Jing is, of course, here and ready to go. With the level 5 being prepped, is it actually going to be a level 6 hit? That's my big question. Of course, Christian's realizing that maybe they have to kind of stay here, and that's going to be the power of the volley. Killua saying, yo, you're not in the right spot. They turn on ADC, but Christian now has to turn back and sacrifice himself. They are going to be able to turn around with another auto attack, and that's going to be the burn. So ADC forced burn, but now Jing has to run away. Beamer, are you going to get enough damage down? That's the question. Another Catherine Rain could come out, but no, don't have the speed and don't have enough to burn, so it is a trade. However, kill does go Christian's way, so slight advantage over to Killian.
Yeah, I love the fights in this bot lane. They are so evenly matched here, and now just now Killua has burned his flash, so if I'm barbecue ribs, I want to look at that bot lane once again. If Ashe gets behind, then it's pretty hard for her to match a lot of damage in the team fights as Zooey.
Zooey's just having a blast, I feel, at this point. Zooey's just like, can I get away with this? How far can I push this? And how quickly can I keep Trillions on their toes? Granted, for Trillions, you're actually okay with this, considering how hard Ribs, who has quietly been pumping up that farm, is a massive lead ahead in the CS department.
Yeah, and honestly, like, Zooey keeps going in repeatedly on cooldown whenever he gets the chance. So if I'm Trillions, I'm calling out to barbecue ribs. He's like, yo, I can bait this guy. Get over here.
Will the bait work? That's the question. You can even see the call down. Jing and Killua walking their way up saying, yo, we want to bring this fight about. They know Ribs is in the area and they want to try and shut this down, especially with a level 6. Worm getting ready over the wall. Zooey is going to round out. Remember, there is no flash and they're just going to straight up kill him. No flash to get over the wall means that you are just dead. And remember, when you Ragnarok, you lose all of your armor and magic resist that comes with the ultimate.
Yeah, great play by XG Gnomes here, you know, getting the prio in their lanes, looking for a pick in the enemy junglers, and Ribs, there's just nothing he could do, you know?
It's a pain in the butt, it feels like. That's the one drawback. If you're not ahead, you mentioned before, you need to be ahead. It feels like on and Olaf, you want to be ahead. You want to ensure that some of those fights don't really happen. Yep, and of course, Jolt's in the top side, really enjoying that poke pressure, and Dwam not really getting theirs, but still holding on. And honestly, I gotta ask you, for Dwam on this Aurora, you're not behind. You're doing okay. Is this the right spot you want to be in?
Yeah, honestly, I think both sides are okay with how it's like right now. Lulu just wants to just skill up a bit as well and try and be helpful in those team fights, while Aurora, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, she can't get that bullying off, but going in.
Oh, and it's just that easy. Worm's like, yo, what's up, guys? Bring it on in. Let's have a little bit of pain. One more auto is going to do it. Killua brings a third. New lethal tempo working out pretty dang well. And I mean, Killua's enjoying it with a plethora of damage in the bot side.
Yeah, and yeah, Killua getting that third kill now, just getting more and more fed. He should be able to back for his first item finish soon here, I assume.
Yeah. I think it'll be nice.
But he wants to play it. He's green for it. Azui going in. Oh, chains missed.
There's going to be that shockwave. Trillions does have that flash. This one might actually be a return shockwave, but Dwam is ready to drop some damage, and out you go. Between worlds, this is what you're talking about. Can you get away? Yes, you can. It's easy for the Olaf. However, with that burn, with the mid lane under pressure and Ribs pretty much out of any fight, second dragon is actually going to go the way of the Gnomes as they continue applying this pressure.
Yeah, and a little bit of anti-synergy there. Zui actually shockwaving Trillions back out of the Leona ulti, so Trillions just gonna be able to flash out there. But Orianna without flash is still just so risky to play in lane because Silas can just go on you whenever he wants. So next time he gets his ultimate up, I think he's gonna be looking for that solo kill. Oh my! Well, he got away just in the nick of time there.
It was nice to watch and thankful as well. Topside Zwam still looking to adjust to this top side. Hasn't really forced anything, which I do appreciate. Just understanding their role of power farm and get to a strong point, ready to bully their way to a victory. Zwam though realizing things are looking a little bit messy, but Zui realizing that they can break a fight. Remember, there's no Ragnarok or Ghost. Ribs is going to get the wild growth, but or overgrowth, but I don't know how much more you can get. Dwam trying to jump forward, but not having any extra speed. And that is going to be a way out, but still losing out with a combination that you thought was going to be strong is so different. Zui's actually stopping their backs here, gets the Q off, which means this dive can occur. Remember, there is nothing in the back pocket. In goes the dive, tanking by Dwam, and now they just need one more. Skarner going to come over the wall as Zui is still alive. The juggle is great, and they get away with that robbery. And Gnomes does have to worry about one in the top side, though. Trillions is looking for at least one rebuttal. Will they get away? They do. Zui is saved. Jing on the bot side might be the sacrificial lamb, but a flash over the wall gets you back to tower. TP coming in as well. Arrow to land on one in hands over the solar flare. Christians will go down, and Killua, after all that, picks up the kill.
Yeah, we're going global here with the plays as the arrow coming out of nowhere. Zui out from the top lane into the bot lane, gonna be picking up another kill there as now the Silas is 3-0-2. He's taking over this game.
I am terrified right now. There feels to be no stopping when it comes to the Gnomes taking what they wish. I mean, it's been the 6 grubs as well. Literally everything has gone their way in the macro game, and they are showing the ADL right now. Anyone else that's tuning in, they're a team to be feared. They are willing to scrap, they're willing to brawl, they're willing to play slow as well if necessary. But considering how game 1 went, game 2 looking much more solid for them.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying that about game 1, and then they kind of just threw a couple times. Oh, Zui going in here again.
I agree. They threw last time, but they didn't feel like they had this much power before as well. Zui is straight up just winning in these basic trades.
Yeah, I mean, Zui is just having like the proto belt completed while Trillian's still not able to finish that first item. Trillian's kind of just can't step out of tower range right now, honestly.
Nope.
Trillian's found out though, Dwam with 4 plates in the top lane quietly.
Not just quietly. That last one, I think, really, that last tower dive really set it into perspective. But yeah, almost taking this entire tower. And I think it's actually going to go down if Dwam wishes, but you don't know where Ribs is, so you can't really force it. Wards go out to deny any further aggression. And it will be first tower, so it is going to be granted over. Dwam gets away for free, and that is a powerful Aurora that has just been unlocked. Jing, though, saying, yo, let's fight this. We have our entire squad. Arrow flash away from, but Christians realizes that there may be no hope, and Pale is going to land on one, and you are sacrificed to the gods. The Gnomes in the garden starting to come alive even more.
Yeah, Ingredient's getting picked on once again. The 5th death for him, as he's just always the one who's left up, going down, not burning the flash there either, as now the bot jungle is all Gnome Kingdom.
I just don't see any... I honestly, I hate saying this. Ethereal Spire, their mid game ain't looking that strong. The Olaf 0-2-1, the Lulu top side, not looking that great. Behind almost 2K. this is a disaster of an early game for Ethereal Spires, and unfortunately they don't have a way to really get back in. Even their late game is looking a little bit rough. I mean, Kaisa is not as well known as that super ultra, you know, hyper carry that can take over a game on their own.
Yeah, and I think it's because the combo hasn't really come out, right? The Lulu, she can slowly hold the Aurora in lane, but they never really got any fights together like now, but it might be too little too late, as Zui is... Actually, he hasn't backed yet, so there is a chance for them to win this fight still. He goes in.
Oh, there is, but that's already Trillions out. In goes Ragnarok for Ragnarok. It might be enough damage. Shockwave might be utilized already, but in goes the Between Worlds as Dwam sets them all up. It's disaster and destruction as the Gnomes run rampant. Another tag brings a triple for the Aurora, and Worm looks for the stone, chucks it out, misses, but it doesn't matter. It's 4 for 2 as the Gnomes power through mid.
That Aurora ulti was crazy as they're just all locked up in the barrel to go down here, as now they're spawning the Herald looking for the next tower as well, while the Dragon is also going to be coming up for them. Let's see, does he pass the driving test? He should be able to. That's another tower for them as they head over to drag.
The game went from we're in control to we own the car, the roads, and the next destination you're going to. The Gnomes are currently dominating in every single metric. This third dragon of the game going their way ensures that the speed will be there as well. This is one of those times where I'm actually terrified of an Air Soul to come out. You have so many different key ultimates that the Gnomes want to use. They are going to be flying around the rift even faster.
Yeah, honestly, it's gonna be terrifying to play Zui. He's going in again.
It doesn't matter. Like at this point, you're just farming an extra like 200 if you so wish. Zui doesn't want to commit. Absolutely could have towered over that.
Oh yeah, honestly, I think he's more interested in the wave at this point. Can't blame him, as now you see kind of a Hail Mary play being made in the top lane here. They're looking for that bounty here. Duam is gonna be caught in the middle of everyone.
And that's going to be a huge dive in. Arrow from downtown is able to buy enough time, though. Zui might be able to help out. Jing is ready to go. Yes, you got one, but how much more are you going to lose? This is Killua rounding the corner to help out, but a flash from the wall brings Schultz right into the corner. You're still pretty much dead, though. There is nothing else to say. The dive, the Hail Mary didn't really go their way, and a TP was even used as a consolation. The Gnomes avenge their fallen brethren.
Yeah, honestly, that was a great play to look for, but they're just so behind that XG just slapped them with their wallets and said, sit down, as they avenge their fallen comrade and pick up the lead once again.
And the problem, of course, for me is I don't think that's going to change any time soon. You can see this power move, Zui rotating up to the top side, make sure the waves are pressured out. You're down about 30 CS, but you're up in the kill department, so you're fine. Essentially, keep the wave states proper. Baron is going to be up in about a minute and a half, and that I'm guessing is going to be the next objective play for you. You can see the number of wards the Gnomes have dropped down here, and for Ethereal Spires, they got one lonely one out there. Their information gathering is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and looking at Ethereal Spires here, I think you're just like, you got the bounties from... Oh, we're going in again.
It's just never-ending battles, and unfortunately with this split, it leads to the Gnomes destroying and dismantling the Spires. Ethereal they may be, but they are still destructible, as that is 3 in less than 5 seconds, and the Gnomes are looking to break the base.
Yeah, they are just like... Ethereal can't step outside their base. Barbecue ribs. An Olaf from behind is just a glorified super minion, unfortunately. So they're just slowly just gonna end up taking him down here.
Yeah, that's it was even too fast for the redemption to come on in, and the gamble, you know what, I will say I appreciate Ethereal Spires looking for it. They tried to go for a little bit of a funky stealth. It didn't pay out. It's week 1. You got time to mess around. There's plenty of weeks to the regular season. So we'll see if they can do even more. A little bit of a pinch as they clear things up. Baron is up in about 19 seconds, and that I'm pretty sure is going to be the final nail in the coffin.
Yep, and in the end, you know, we saw 2 interesting comps here, but it's going to be the one with the Aurora and the Silas just popping off in the solo lanes. honestly, Worm also just repeatedly putting that pressure bot, Killua getting ahead from it. As the arrow lands once again, this ain't going in.
I mean, it's just that easy. At this point, you're just trying to pad the stats. The shockwave actually draws in Killua a little bit closer. And it's Killua's 9th of the game, attempting to match Dwam with that kill. No mid laner, no shockwave to help out Ethereal Spire's fight for this objective.
Yeah, they're all just playing so well, just suffocating Ethereal Spire. As now with Trillions down, the Baron is next on the table. We'll see if Barbecue Ribs can go for Miracle Steals, but he has no flash orbital. How's he gonna get in there?
He's not. He's actually going to watch mid lane lose 2 more. Beamer trying to Killer Instinct their way away. Flashes just out of the Solar Flare range, but look at this damage. It's a collapse here in the mid lane. Zooey ready to go with another Kingslayer to stay alive for a little bit longer. You're not going to live through that one, though, as that'll be Xing to watch as the team gets Baron and you take 2 more lives. Oh, Critian, that's not where you want it to be. Unfortunately, you will pay the price, as that'll be a Gnomes to get so much gold.
Yeah, death number 9 for Critians here, as that's just Nautilus on a losing team. Unfortunate, as the Baron ends up going down for XG here. They're going to get their resets off. They're going to be looking for Soul Point next on the table and to crack open the base of Ethereal Spire.
Karthik, this has been a game. Honestly, the Gnomes putting up a pretty dang good show, saying, hey, we are going to be the team to beat. I want everyone to look at us. And I think they've done so. Everyone on their team has had a shining moment. Worm this game having a massive influence in the early game against Zooey, being able to battle their way forward. Killua 9-3-7, dominating and Xing with the beautiful roams. And game 1, Dwam. Dwam was the key in game 1 win.
Yeah, everyone has done so well in this series, and they're truly deserving of the scoreline that we see in front of us, as now it's just about crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and not throwing and just getting this game down. There really isn't too much that Ethereal can do at this point, bar from a miracle play that maybe Critians can just get onto someone in the side lane, get them burst down with like Beamer following up out of nowhere, something like that. I don't know, but here we go, another fight in mid lane.
I mean, I don't know if this is so much a fight as a desperate call for a last-ditch effort. Everything thrown into the pit. Barbecue Ribs, though, able to hold on. However, that's all they were able to do. Beamer gonna try and get in the back line, but it's not going to work. Zooey assassinates the assassin of the Void. Beamer is down, and now it's just carries ready to take over. Zooey goes over the wall, not able to find Jolts, who is trying to stay alive. It is a Baron empowered cannon minion gonna stay alive for just a wee bit longer.
Yeah, Baron turning down is actually good for them, as Zooey going in. Jolt's gonna have to flash away as Inhib is next on the table here. There's no shockwave or any base, and not really any threat on the side of Ethereal right now.
No, this is just cleanup duty, really. Gnomes saying, okay, we're not going to force this issue. The fight was a little bit wonky in mid. We'll back away. Next round, though, is going to be that inhibitor.
Yep, and they're being super clean with it once again, you know, not overextending, be like, oh yeah, we got to get this inhib, this tower solo, let's just keep going. They see the enemy respawning, they take their reset, spend their gold, and they're just going to look to engage another fight again. Just beautiful play from them so far.
And they're going to try everything and then some. But right now, though, I'm taking a look here, and I mean, Ethereal Spire, I mean, we are still waiting for them to have a chance, which we think is very, very low on there. But in the off chance they're able to make something happen, where's it going to come from? Is it just from like a catch, just like catch after catch? Or is there a theoretical way they can win a team fight?
There is a let me check. I'm doing the math here. There's a 0.001% chance they win a team fight. So, you know, they were on the right path of trying to. Oh, there's an arrow. There's a dead jolt.
It's so good. Killa was like, yo, why give me this champion? And honestly, it was a great one to pick up here. A little bit of a chase in as the rest of the team of Ethereal Spires is going to look to try and hold out, but I don't know if you can. A powering through of this top side will be the call as Worm Jones looks to join up. With Zooey in the mid lane taking down an inhibitor, it feels like this is all going to be completed. Is it though? Zooey's like, okay, nope, can't push any further just yet.
Yeah, they're just chilling, slowly walking the minions in, looking to get up onto that top tower as Critten's looking to go on the enemy support.
And that is just death, and even more so an Impale to bring him all the way around. Between realms will breathe the world as Zwam allows a double kill to come through. It's another kill for Killua in the fight as 4 are gone. Jolts, the lone Lulu magician, to try and stay alive, but you are not long for this world either. XG Gnomes seal the deal of series number 1, and are going to start this season of the ADL off with a bang.
Yeah, in just 25 minutes, they close out this game too. Everyone doing so well on XG. Just beautiful plays across the map here. You know, Dwam just showing how powerful Aurora can be, getting plates, getting ahead, getting the CS lead by himself. And you see like the Skarner just repeatedly ganking bot, getting the Ashe ahead. Killua had some crazy clutch arrows, by the way, to get his team those picks to start out those fights. And yeah, Zui, there's nothing much to say. Solo killing the enemy, just dictating the pace of the game as Silas, as yeah, they just pick up the win in the most clean fashion possible.
Honestly, I don't think there's more to talk about. This squad was so good, but respect handed over to the side of Ethereal Spires. They came with some interesting compositions, and I think if they're going for spicy, there's plenty more of the season to work with. What did you think of the Lulu Olaf being pulled out here? Do you think that's something that could work if polished up a little bit more?
I think theoretically that combo definitely can work, but it requires both the Olaf and Lulu being not behind out of laning phase. And you can see there were some fights where the Olaf was close to killing some of them, but he just didn't have that extra juice to finish it off. But yeah, I think I'd love to see it come out in later games, maybe with when they're not like super behind early. But yeah, that just didn't happen this time.
Yeah, it did not. And of course, right now, to pick the brains of those that have played in the game to break down their first opening win, we are going to have an interview, so please don't go anywhere. We're going to get a little bit of a peek inside the mine, so don't go anywhere. The ADL will be finishing up in just a bit. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back here, everyone. We have Zui, the mid laner, playing both the Yasuo and the Silas to the 2-0 victory for XG Gnomes. Coming in here, giving us a little bit of insight. Zui, how are you feeling after that victory? A very clean one to open up this ADL fall season.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good debut in Diamond for me. Not the greatest in game 1, but I think game 2 I really let the light shine. So I think it was a good showing from the whole team.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Honestly, we saw a ton of flashy plays coming out from you. The Yasuo and the Silas, it honestly doesn't get cooler than that. You know, none of that boring control mage or anything stuff. I like the champion pool you're bringing out here. Really fit in the meta as well. Do you think this is just a personal play style for you, or is this what you think is the best champions that everyone should be playing right now?
It's more so a personal playstyle thing. I played in the Emerald League for Aegis for quite a bit, so a lot of the Emerald players know me as the guy who will hands check everyone and just fight, and my chimp will kind of resides or shows that. So I think it's just how I like to play the game. I just like to fight, team deathmatch it pretty much.
Yeah, love to see that style there, and I hope I see more of that from you in the coming weeks. But other than you, in your team, we saw great performances from everyone. But are there any shout outs or any specific stuff that maybe we won't see on the stream, but maybe like shot calling or anything behind the scenes that really led to your 2-0 victory?
Yeah, our support, Keychain, he is nutty on the vision control and the calls, like roams and stuff. He had pretty much like everyone on lock, like roam timers from enemy support, enemy jungle, enemy laners. He had everything, and his snap engages. Oh my god, chef's kiss. They were amazing.
100%. I mean, that was a beautiful victory, and I may not have been able to give much to his name, but his play style was amazing, to say the least. Zooey, you guys have already cemented yourselves as a team to watch for here in the ADL. Is this, with how much your team has played, is this something that you guys expected to have happened, or was this more of a surprise? Were you expecting something different in this week 1 result?
I'm not too sure. I think like compared to the rest of the league, like overall strength wise, I think we probably lay like middle in the pack. A lot of our team is first split Diamond League players. I believe Dwam it's like his first split as well. This is my first split. I'm not really sure about the rest of the team. I think it might be Worm's first split as well, but I think we are solid enough to at least hold our ground against a lot of the lower tier teams and maybe punch up a little bit into some of the top teams. But that's something that we'll have to see 2-3 weeks down the line later in the season. So it's too early to say anything.
Such a respectful answer. I love that. After you showed off and are literally like, hey, I am the hands check man, that I will bring, the mid lane to fight at any time. And I love it. So honestly, Zooey, very, very nice job here today. Any final shout outs, any final words of thanks that you like to give, or anything else that you'd like to say?
Yeah, shout out to the XG Gnomes boys. Shout out to the other XG team. I hope they win their series tonight. I don't know if their series is already done or not, but yeah, good work tonight, XG.
All righty, Zooey, thank you so much for the interview. Congratulations on your victory, and we look forward to seeing you on in the later rest of the season as well. Alrighty, with that being said, we are done here for the night. There's more Aegis though, continuing on throughout the rest of the week. Remember, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I believe, all hold series, all at the same time, 8 p.m. ET. Casted and covered by so many other amazing talents, and hosting a plethora of many players, 10 to be exact, each night. So with that though, we'll be done here with the Aegis Defenders League. Thank you so much for tuning in to the start of the season. My name is Orbital. With me has been Karthik, and of course on production has been Caddy. We thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fantastic evening.